ons.
Okay.
Okay, so you were saying.
Okay. So basically what happens is that obviously the more you play, the quicker you see the angle.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll see a lot of players will go around and you'll have the whiteboard here. Look, the best thing about this game is the table itself, believe it or not. Because first of all, the table itself becomes a tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get all these gadgets, you know, the whiteboards, the practice whites, nothing wrong with the practice whites. Funny gadgets where you cue through, you must have seen that, you know, little
Putting like a telescope on top of your.
Okay, so before investing in all of this, which is, like I say, I don't discourage it, I know,
Yeah.
but you have a whole table as a tool.
Okay.
So basically you got your line here that you can always use to
Evolve
cue.
line, yeah.
Yeah. Then you have the common practice where they say if you hitting down the spots,
Yeah.
it comes back against your tip.
Yeah.
That's a good practice.
Okay.
Right? Spots also stays on the same spot all the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, that becomes a tool.
Okay.
So basically, like I said in our last practice, if you got a red ball or black ball on the spot,
Yeah.
you can sort of have these little practices where you remember where I said.
Yeah.
So I'm obviously I'm getting somewhere when I talk about this. So obviously I gave you this little practice where you replace the ball all the time with the whites.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
black, you can obviously do it on the blue, you can do it on the pink. So these spots literally becomes your tools.
Okay.
If you get my point.
Yeah.
But now obviously there's also what they call ghost ball theory.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically where you have a ball set up there, and you obviously gonna put the let's put the green there, normally should be the black. So the ghost ball theory would work.
Yeah.
Where if you
Like
put
a
the
setup.
yes, so basically you would take the red out of the way and the white ball would replace the red.
Yeah.
So that's your ghost ball theory. So obviously when you're playing a match, there's no ghost ball actually laying there.
Yeah.
So you'll see players actually going down and they will look down the line and they said, I mean this is like what everyone's being taught, is sort of focus your eye on that particular point
Yeah.
on the object.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But you see, here comes the trick, man. Some people look at the ball from this side,
Yeah.
right? Some people look at it from the pocket this side.
Okay.
So that basically you look at this ball reaching the pocket on the right point of contact.
Yeah.
But the contact point is here.
Yeah.
Okay? What I do in most cases, if I'm really focused, put it that because that's important,
Yeah.
I sort of look at both lines.
Okay.
So I see an imaginary little line
Yes.
right through the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because what invariably happens is that when you only see it from this side, now I know it's difficult,
Yeah.
but what happens when you only see it from your side now? So basically from my understanding, it's possible that you could be seeing it thick.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
You understand? And also because a ghost ball in theory, it's actually not your actual potting angle, especially if it's a cut.
Okay.
Okay? Because what happens is, some video I watched, it's what they call it, it's a squeeze effect. So basically, you know when you get the offset, so basically it is dead in line like that.
Yeah.
And you play a shot, and you don't move the ghost ball.
Yeah.
If you don't remove it, right? And you play straight under that ball, which in effect means you should pot it.
Yeah.
According to the way these balls are laid, this green is going to push towards that. Basically the offset.
Okay.
Okay? So remember I said I'm going to hit it full,
Yeah.
and it's most likely, even if I pot it, it's probably going to pot it closer to that side. So it's not actually going to go in the line.
Okay.
Which means, in essence, the ghost ball is a guide, but it's not the actual potting angle.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll show you what demonstrate. I'm going to hit it straight in the middle of the ring.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
So what I'm saying,
So how do you adjust that?
No, you see now that's the thing. That comes with the practice, and obviously, it's, believe it or not, it's your equipment, it's your tip. You know, and there's a case for people playing what they call helping side. You know, so where they actually play with the side to sort of change the potting angle, almost to help the pot, if I could put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, that's the term. That's where the term comes from, the helping side. But if you look at playing ball striking, it's always important to bear in mind that it's a slight overcut.
Okay.
So
So
remember,
when you're cutting that, and this is gone.
yes,
The
slightly
point where you
further.
hit this at,
Yes.
we actually, you're saying a bit of an overcut.
It's a bit of an overcut, yeah.
Hmm.
You know, so basically what I'm saying is that because your point when we just started speaking was that you were I think you said undercutting.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically if you're undercutting, it means that could you not, you're saying you were probably hitting it about there
Yeah.
or somewhere there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, if I'm lucky about there,
yes.
but mostly about you. Not that bad.
No, but then it becomes frustrating because you don't know how to solve it, and this is most likely what's happening.
Yeah.
Because you're picturing the line to the pocket, the actual line, which is perfect. You're picking the perfect line.
Yeah.
But because the ball is what you see, so let me demonstrate what happens. So this ball, which is a ghost ball, is lining up like that. So what's actually happening is when I'm pushing the white against that red, so let's say this, I change it with the red. So the time you push it onto that path, you're actually pushing it slightly forward,
Okay.
and then it's going. Do you?
Yes.
So it's actually, you know, so it's actually has impact, and the impact, it's actually pushing the green slightly offline, and then forward.
And therefore you're saying I should
Compensate
compensate,
with a line,
overcompensate
overcompensate, yeah.
to get the line. Because what I do with the ghost ball, obviously with your eye, I try to draw a line from there through the ball to there.
Yes.
Then I check it with my eye from there back.
Yes.
And very often I find coming back, I'm wrong. I was wrong in the first
Okay.
one. So I look at that, and if I'm in a pocket, for me, it's the middle of the pocket I'm going for.
Yeah.
I'm not like these guys that can squeeze a pocket or steal.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
I know, but I mean that. Yeah.
But I try to draw a straight line across.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was wrong in going from here. So
Look, this.
I pick but you're saying now if I draw the line, I pick the spot, I should actually slightly overcompensate.
You should overcompensate, and also remember there's different methods of what suits you eventually. So someone else might come and say, and myself as well, I might then say, listen, don't focus too much because then it complicates things, because now you're saying, okay, it's an overcut, or it's, you know.
Yeah.
So what I would say less complicated is that if you do have a pot, I mean, if you stand this side, Anthony, if you stand this side, then I would say, if you look at a pocket from this angle, and you have it cut to the black spot, then I would say then focus, instead of thinking all this stuff, focus maybe on potting the ball somewhere there.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, you have more chance of going there into that corner. And remember, we're talking millimeters, we're talking fractions here.
Yeah.
The ghost ball is not off by a mile.
Yeah.
You know? Because if in theory, if you think about it, if you're straight on the black, that's your potting angle. It's dead straight.
Yeah.
So if you replace it with a ghost ball, that is your angle.
Yeah.
It really only changes with a cut, on an angle. So it could quite possibly be that, but also remember there's also cueing, all kind of stuff. So
What I picked up this week as well, coming to that point of the queuing, quite a few times I caught myself.
you need to be nice and up firmly against your body. Okay. So let's do. We're gonna get back to this now.
Okay.
Let's do this one again at this advantage. So,
Want me to just pop
yeah, I
here?
wanted to go, and I just want to check something. So just remember the straight leg, back leg.
I want to ask you about that leg.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether that leg's not the problem.
It can be, that's why I'm looking at this. So I need you just to straighten out the leg, you know, and I'll have a look now. And don't play the shot yet. It's dead straight there. It's dead straight.
Okay.
That's straight. Play the shot. I mean, it's really, I cannot fault you. You're giving dead straight. Believe me when I tell you. And obviously you've been missing some shots because, like I said, you've been discovering the cut shot, right? But we'll get to that. I just need to just really look at this. And I mean, there's so much has got to do with practice. Eh? Do you feel compact?
Yes. I must
feel
confess
confident?
that I felt there's been other times when I've played before we started, when I took long shots and I said, I must make sure that my cue stays, and I tightened up.
Tighten up.
And I got the shots. And
Yeah.
then I started saying, but shouldn't I be playing like that all the time then? If that works on long shots, like what you've just said about being tight.
Yes. Being
Making
tight
sure.
all. Yeah. It's about being nice and firm up against your chest. You know, obviously some players know they always have a loose type of action and all that. Look, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to putting this to practice, right?
Yeah. So the past week, Wednesday night, I struggled to beat
Yeah.
Kiss.
But you know, it's
But I was going down and saying, okay, leg straight, weight on the foot, tighten up. And
Look, the problem is when you start thinking about it. That's also what, so you almost need to practice that, and then it eventually comes part of that.
Yeah. So with Kiss, the first game, I was 14-0 down on him.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, forget about the stuff, just play.
No, just play now.
And actually,
Yeah.
then things got better. But so Thursday practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I always say that you can have any line that you want. So let's just, what I said, throw the textbook out of the window, which I normally don't like to do. As much as the line is important to me personally,
Yeah.
the stroke is like a 90% of your game. It's 90%.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll explain to you very quickly why stroke is so important. If you, sometimes you can't fall into the line of a shot. Let's say there's balls under your chest, so you end up maybe playing a shot and there's balls and you're laying over and you're having to do this. Other lines there.
Yeah.
The only thing really that's going to help you is your stroke in that situation.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. That's it. Now what helps the stroke, and this is now obviously something I want you to come and do whenever you practice for at least, you don't want to get it boring with it, but at least 10 to 20 minutes. Okay? So it's a tough practice because it's going to make you walk a lot. Okay. So you're basically going to pot the blue spot. You're going to pot the ball into this bag with a lot of runs through.
Okay.
Almost try for the in-off as well.
Okay.
Okay. I would say try for the in-off all the time.
Okay.
You basically come around this side because it becomes a job.
Okay.
Then you're basically going to have to come this side and pot the red from this side.
Alternating.
And do it like literally for 15 to 20 minutes. So what that, I'm talking about the run through.
Yeah.
So what that creates is a stroke.
Okay.
Okay? Because a run through, the chance, when I say run through, I'm talking about top spin on the one.
Yeah.
Okay? So what that creates is a bit of a smooth action. It's
Okay.
very seldom that someone will have
You said something similar last week. You said I should play all my shots as much as possible with just half a tip above the center.
when you're solo,
Yeah.
because obviously you're not going to need that type of shots necessarily.
Sure.
It's just
But just to learn that.
That's
follow
what you do.
through.
You come around the table, you play from the side just to make it easier. You know.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So maybe play a few. You see now even so even that it was a stroke. Right? But even if you can get a little bit more on top of the white, just to get the nice actions through.
Okay.
And makes almost like then you can see the effect.
All right. So you want me to run it through more?
Yeah. And I said, oh, didn't put choke yet. That's how I feel. Let me see from the other side here.
Now you see that was a stand.
It was a stand.
Yeah. I could
You
feel
see how
it.
important this type of experiment is.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, could I get a lot of run? So I said,
Which you don't need, yeah.
okay.
You only need to play like a half a tabaya, that's all it is. And then also, if you can, and I know I said last week that the grip itself,
Yeah.
you know, must relax a bit on the grip with a bit of a pinch.
Yeah.
You know, if you can almost, in other words, just a pinch, not a grip.
Yeah.
You know, grip, but not too loose. You know, so there's a.
I think if anything, my grip has maybe been too tight.
Too tight, yeah.
I think.
But not, it mustn't be loose, it must be.
Skiff,
It's skiff. Also, when you're lining it up straight, obviously that's not dead straight. So the straighter you line this up,
the bigger the chances of getting there.
yeah, and also you'll be able to see when you cue down. So let's say it's perfectly straight.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be able to see at your butt end if it's lining up with the center line.
Okay.
So if you just look down, you see down by the pocket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
You see, you'll be able to see more or less gauges. So if you line it up in a proper straight line. You see there? It's almost over the middle of the bag, yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah.
And you see there. Okay. Also important here is that to make sure that you're hitting right in the middle of the white. You know, don't take your eye. I'm only giving you an idea here.
Yeah.
There's so much fractions involved here that if you off here, it doesn't matter. It is possible that the white is not.
Inadvertently putting a bit of spin on that.
That's right. Yeah. So you basically need to get your angle and make sure you're hitting this line, you know, in the center. There you go. That's it. So you can't take it for granted that you have your cue.
If the cue straight, but I'm hitting the ball skew, it's still gonna.
Yes, so you have to, the spot that you want to hit, so it doesn't even have to be in the middle. The spot that you intend to hit on the white.
Yeah, okay.
So it could be if you're playing left or right. the spot.
Running side or breaking
Yes,
side. Or
that has to be the line that you focus on as you aiming or whatever, you know.
Okay.
And not necessarily your vertical.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter because some guys could be aiming low and when they hit through the ball they're hitting high.
Okay.
You know, some guys even hit higher than them.
Yeah.
So it's not the vertical so much, it's more that horizontal, you know, if you plan on playing left or right, you know, vice versa, you have to, or straight for that matter.
Okay.
You have to focus on that point. You know, when you're going through into the straight.
But that also then implies that before you hit the stroke, you've got to decide on your line.
Of course, you have to
Stand here and decide what you're going to do. That's the line, but I want to put running side. Or as one guy said, whenever you're cutting the ball into, especially corner pocket, just always play with a side. It helps.
It helps, yeah.
So if you play this way, I forget even who it was, play on the left, that helps the cue ball. But then I find I miss it on the right.
Yeah. Like I say, you know, but we'll get into that discussion in our next lesson because I think that's something that's we're still going to talk about deflection and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah. There was also this one video where quite a long discussion about some people say, well, there is no middle spot on the ball, but there is. No, there's not. It's
There
a
is
round
a
ball.
middle spot.
There can't be a middle spot on a round ball,
No.
but actually there is.
Yeah.
If you look at it. So.
It's just to find the middle spot.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
yeah. So obviously you're focusing on hitting the right in the right place.
And you're saying I should take 15, 20 minutes, just walk around?
Definitely, but take it through the whole process of you know you're getting the white exactly where you want to hit it. And obviously placing the ball straight is important because that's how you get your action straight.
Yeah.
If it's off a bit, it's going to be a problem.
Okay.
That's a stab, right? That's a hit, stab, whatever you want to call it.
Don't hit the ball. Stroke it.
Don't hit the ball. Yeah, that's sweet. And you know, believe me when I tell you, sometimes you can hit the ball absolute 100 miles an hour and you can still do it with a stroke.
That's difficult.
It's difficult, but
Because you tend to, when you want to hit it hard, you
Yeah.
tend to.
yes. Yes. Yeah. So okay, let me put that in context with that I just mentioned about sometimes you can absolutely hit the ball with power and still stroke it.
Yeah.
So if I put it into context, it's like a pendulum. Man. If you take that like what do you call it? That pendulum,
Yeah.
right? The metal balls, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you got your
Okay.
balls and you sort of move it like that, and the other one comes up.
Yeah.
So the more you push it that way, the more the other one comes up.
Yeah.
The less you do it. So it's a bit like a queuing action. So the more you take it backwards, you almost need the same amount of power. Okay, in some cases you do need a lot of zip, you know.
Yeah.
But the further you take a ball, your arm back, you can still play the stroke with power.
Okay. But I think that will take a lot of practice.
No, that's a lot of practice. I'm just
We're looking at people like Judd Trump.
yeah.
And that guy.
He just whips through it.
Robertson.
Yeah.
That,
They whip through it. Yeah.
I mean, they hit it with such power.
But if you go look at some videos again, the power they use comes from a swing, a long swing of the backhand.
Okay. Well, small steps, no?
Small steps. Sweet. Getting there, we're getting there.
Just getting that muscle memory at such a level that
We do this all the time. So what this creates, again, like I don't want to repeat it, but what this creates is a stroke. Okay. So basically what's going to happen, if you sort of get into that stroking habit, now you have a screw back,
okay,
right? So it also becomes a stroke.
yeah,
You know, because people think when they play a screw back, they sort of do the little jerk as if the ball's going to come back. So they think that by doing that involuntary action, it's going to come back. In some cases, like the white, they're thinking the white's going to come back to the tip. They should also tend to pull it out of the way or something like that, you know. So just see what happens with the same action if you're trying a screw back. Let's have a quick look.
what I found Barry Stark's advice helpful on this,
Okay.
where he said if you practice your screwbacks to try and avoid that getting the cue out of
That's
the way,
exactly.
he said just do the screwback at a slight angle.
That's fair. That's fair.
So when the white ball comes, you know it's not going to
It's not going to hit the tip, yeah.
So that, and I found that quite
It's helpful, yeah.
helpful
It's
because
helpful.
okay, let me,
Yeah.
but I'll do it.
Makes sense. But try the straight one. Try the straight one. Because what we also aiming here is getting the nice center of the, you know.
Stab.
It's fine. Now, I'll tell you what that was. Not necessarily a stand. So what happened was, you got it on the recording, so you can obviously go back to that. Sometimes what happens with these little short, I mean, this is a short, this is an easy screw.
Yeah.
In fact, you can put it a bit more forward. That's like, yeah, that's fine. Put it at an angle, like,
Okay.
it's fine. So what you're going to do, so I'll explain to you now what happens, right? So what you're going to do, you're going to push your hand a bit forward, what you feel comfortable with, closer to the wire. You breathe.
Yeah. Okay.
I want you to push your hand slightly more forward and hopefully get into a comfortable position. And then you're going to play the shot, play softer, with a nice deep release. Yeah, but you don't have to play it firmly. Maybe not that close, something like that. And I'll explain to you now what's going to happen. So that was easy, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a lot of action there.
Okay. So, do that. So what I want you to do, play the same way, exactly the same way. Maybe put some chalk. And also want to get nice. You know, for screw back, you can get the chalk on nicely. You know, that's important. Yeah. But anyway, so you can still do the close little bridge. Closer, not when I say close, I mean just slightly more in than your normal game. And I want you to aim slightly lower.
Okay.
You're not touching the bed necessarily, but even if you touch the bed, right?
Okay.
And then don't be scared of hitting bottom.
Jumping a ball is illegal.
I know that. Okay? But I'll explain to you now why. So even if you jump the ball, don't worry.
Okay.
I'll demonstrate to you something. Okay? See the action there?
Still part.
If you see the amount of action that, then that will, you really need to serve.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
I want you to just do that again. Put it at an angle where you're not afraid when the white comes back to the.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a lot more.
That's a lot without key power. If I can,
Yeah.
that's just normal stroking. Okay, so what happens is, let's do it again, yeah? I see you want to just keep playing the shot, yeah. Sweet. Okay, so what happens is that I leave your cue for this. I'm not gonna play any shots. Okay, it's fine. So if you're playing these little drawbacks, on the ball is there, you're gonna play a little screw it. So basically what happens if you so I'm gonna play almost next to it. Okay. So let's say that's your bridge. That's your bridge. So your contact point is about there on the white. So you're gonna play a screw back. It's very difficult to get past the white. Can you see there?
Yeah.
Because your cue stops here. Can you see there? That sort of locks. Can you see next to me?
Yeah. Okay.
Lock there. But you see there, it only goes that much past.
Yeah.
If I do that in that locking position,
Oh.
without you knowing, you're actually falling through the ball by that much.
Okay.
Okay. Secondly, if you let's say you want to play a little screw back in your aim about there, okay, that's not really going to give you a real screw back.
Or a stun.
Okay. More like a stun type of shot, right? So, in essence, what happens is people tend, when they aim there for the screw back, they tend to scoop the ball for some reason. Now, lots of people think it's the reverse. They think if they hit there, it's going to scoop.
Okay.
Okay, so what in essence happens, if you aim there and you want to hit bottom, you end up scooping.
Okay.
Involuntary.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, because you started off wrongly, you started off there, and then all of a sudden you go back and you end up scooping. And as you can see, I'm even moving.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, so you should start low.
So essentially starting low is better.
Yeah. Okay. Alright.
So by aiming too high, and then come, because it's really an involuntary action you have going.
Yeah.
So by essentially starting, being scared of hitting, if you're scared of hitting low, basically, and you aim a bit higher, as you come through involuntary, you're going down.
Okay.
You know, so your action becomes like that.
Okay, instead of straight.
That's right. So by doing that, you end up scooping the ball.
Yeah. That's where the miscues also
That's where it
come.
starts, yeah. And mostly for screwbacks. I would suggest if you're having to hit the ball out through payment, it's fine. The screwback is an extreme shot.
Yeah.
So you need to almost execute it on an extreme level.
Yeah.
If I can
Okay.
sound a bit extreme myself, you know?
Okay.
So play a few more, then let's have a look. Listen, you're always going to scoop one or two. We all do it. We make miscues because screwback shots is dicey. Especially if it's with power. But these little ones shouldn't be that dicey.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you've never made a miscue yet. You've played a few. And I'm sure by now, normally you would have thought you normally can't aim that low because you're going to miscue.
I'm going to miscue.
Yeah.
Just jump the.
Or jump, yeah. It's fine. Look, what you did there is you did pull it back again. You know, so hence the practice before when you play the run through, you're getting used to pushing through.
Yeah.
So as you're getting used to pushing through, that's the same method when you play the screw back.
Yeah.
But that's not easy. That's where the game becomes a bit.
It's almost involuntary. Get the cue out of the way.
Yeah.
Reaction. So.
It was always left lesson. And you must choke. I think you did choke it.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Blame it on chalk.
Blame it on chalk, it's fine. Listen, you were always going to make a cue, what's it, a miscue soon. So remember something, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
So once you miscue, there's almost fear now.
Yeah.
You're not wanting to play the shot again.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in a match or in the
Yeah.
place or something. And that's important to get, to almost wipe it.
Yeah.
You know, wipe it down to technique or something.
Yeah.
You know?
It's cute.
The cue, the cueing. There we go.
Wow.
There we go. Okay, so this is not part of your homework. So what we need to get now is to the cutting.
Okay.
Okay, so let's have a look here at what you've been doing, and then
Because I did that practice you said, you're lining up balls and
yeah.
putting them.
So this is now listen. So I gave you that practice, that drill.
Yeah.
So now this drill in conjunction with what we spoke about maybe
Okay.
rather than aiming.
Slightly.
Yes. Remember in reverse. Sorry to not in reverse it's the same, exactly the same. In reverse.
Yeah.
When I explain to you, this is a cut that way.
Yeah.
So it's going to push. Remember, it's pushing this way, so you can aim more to that way.
So if I do this way,
This way.
it's going to be aiming more, yeah, than there.
That's right. That's right. You still want the ball to drop, obviously.
That's counterintuitive.
There we go.
It's,
Don't want to complicate things. But it's pushing. You see, because of the angle that you're doing now, this ball is now pushing this way. You
okay, yeah.
get my So which means you actually are always, that's why I see most of the players, when they miss these reds or blacks, in essence, it's always a black.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but you know it's black. Right?
Yeah.
So in essence, these balls, in my opinion, you should always rather go, it should always be an overcut rather than an undercut.
Okay.
Because it's like, you start hitting a ball here, it's such a blow to your psyche.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I almost feel better if I missed it this time. Which is strange, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should feel better if you caught it.
That's when you feel really good.
Yeah.
Alright, so you see then.
So it's still towards the pocket, but you want to miss this edge. If you know what I'm saying.
So actually what you're saying, don't aim there, the line mustn't be there. The line
Yeah.
must be
If I always
there.
had to put the ball down for you, you almost want to hit on more or less to that.
Okay.
Like I said, just bear in mind that you still need. So now obviously the focus point has changed, okay?
Yeah.
So remember, there's still something called a stroke. And there's a lot of things here. So
I need a month to practice these things.
exactly.
Alright. Still keep legs straight, weight on the front.
There we go. That's a stroke. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, that's if you look at it. Then what's a stroke? You try to the white here.
Where?
Get your hand on the table. Because obviously you don't make it too. When I say get your hand on the table, we all bent up here at the moment. So first like the easier one, you know.
Okay. You see now I'm trying to draw that line. That line's going to come from there. Okay.
It's fine.
I feel like I hit it exactly where I was aiming.
That's fine. Fine. Like I say, you know, it's you at least at the point where you said that the problem was you were undercutting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so I'm basically just giving you the breakdown of why you're overcutting. The rest is it's all you, but you're gonna have to do the practicing and yeah. And then you'll get to a point where you mentioned Barry Stark a bit earlier, where he suggests playing with ducklings up. That's his.
Yeah.
That's his. If I'm not mistaken, that is what he suggests. You know, what I'm saying is that it's more identification.
Yeah.
You know, so once you identify or at least understand the concept of why things is happening,
Yeah.
you can put your own way of playing. So if it means playing up inside, it's going to be better. You play, but you first need this as identifying.
What you just said is really, it's true, it's helpful, because when I first started playing like 4 or 5 years ago, I was saying to the guys, how do you pot, how do you line it up? They said, just look at the angle and go,
Doesn't work like that.
and I said, but there must be a system.
Must be a
I said,
system.
you're overthinking it, just pot.
No, you
Now, I was
can't.
playing fairly okay, but this can't be. That's when I started looking on YouTube.
Yeah.
Aren't there? And I came across people like Barry and what's your system? And for instance, talking about Barry and the system, if I'm going to cut this fairly basic shot, why do I need to put side on it? I should be able to play it straight in. Now I know sometimes it's a severe angle, you try and get more spin because then you may want to do it,
but you need to know why you're missing it thick or thin. Things like that.
Yeah.
So basically this is what's happening now. You learn why you're hitting it thick, why you're hitting it thin.
Okay.
You know how balls react when it comes together, stuff like that, you know. So obviously this, what we're doing here, it's more a case of requiring practice.
Yeah.
So you get to
Practice that I've done in the past for a long time is take all the balls and I put them here, this, and I just pot.
just put that under the black like this.
And then I change around and do it from the other side.
Yeah, I know that.
And
it's such a cool game because because it almost becomes boring to do it right. If you do it properly, the best practice is the most boring practice. If I can.
Well, what I did is I started keeping record. Out of 21 balls, I only potted 12.
Okay.
Okay, now try from that side, try and do better and sort of motivate
Of course,
yourself that way. So,
Also, you know, to add on one of our first lessons, okay, well, at least let's just start on this before this, is that when we spoke about the legs, you know, the placed leg, you see one of the reasons, besides it putting weight on your bridge, and but for balancing purposes, it also creates consistency, although it might not show results now. But just imagine you coming here with the same technique all the time. You know what I'm saying? So with a bent leg, it can be bent one day slightly, the next day it may be bent more or less on the other day. So with a braced leg, it's always going to be in one position.
one of the things I thought to myself, I caught myself this week when practicing. Okay, now raise. And I thought, hey man, when I brace my leg, I'm changing my position.
Of your tip. Of your tip.
So then I thought, hang on, I've got to.
You have to keep on doing
Go
it
down in a raised position.
Yes.
Behind the.
There we go. So this obviously needs practice. I don't want to frustrate you with this. So basically what you're saying is if I grab your cue. So if you have to stand directly in line of the center pocket with my Q-tip,
Yeah.
and then it's better to see on someone else where I'm coming from. So I'm gonna stand with the straight leg, which is my normal stance. I'm down, so I'm gonna bend my leg now, right?
Okay. Yeah, you've just moved your.
You see? So it becomes inconsistent if you
Yeah.
don't have a consistent way of standing.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're missing a few shots and you veer off that,
You know why you. Okay.
you know, because it's a tough one, man, because what's gonna happen is that in that water that I think the Quran says you cannot fix a mistake.
Yeah.
A mistake.
Yeah.
Just keep going with something that might not work in the beginning.
Yeah, but it's the right way to do
It's
it.
the right way to do it because then you'll have results. At the end of the day, you will have the results will come.
Yeah.
I mean, as you could see here today, I'm sure you didn't play school, but quite as easy as that.
I don't think
I'm
I've
not
ever had
sure.
that much.
Easy reaction.
Yeah.
Easy reaction. I don't know if I can call
And
it.
it's one of the things that caught my attention when Charles Jonk was playing the final. I was at the scoreboard. You know, it's close. I could see him. And I thought, he didn't hit that hard, but look at that amount of action.
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Yeah.
I was standing there literally like, whoa.
That's technique, yeah. It's technique. And
So now you're saying,
yeah, so that's basically in a nutshell what's happening in the case of a shot. You know, he's putting that, not that technique, but it's a technique that he's putting to action.
not hard, not playing hard, but getting.
Yeah. And I mean, he can really power a ball in
Yeah.
without, what do you call it, without stabbing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Henry, do you want to practice a bit? I'm gonna.
I think so. What we've got left here, but 9 minutes. Let me do some practice,
You need some practice.
and then.
Okay.
But I may move to the front because I
Okay, okay, so let me back.
5 minutes. Let me finish. I'll pack up.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Packing up.
You must try and send me some of your videos. Or clips.
The old ones.
Or clips. No, these ones is
These ones.
What are the old ones? Maybe we can compare. You know?
Yeah. I must say this last week I haven't recorded any of my practice sessions or games. And this week is going to be a bit crazy again. Going to Robertson.
Your battery's gonna go away. I think you wanna maybe stop. Or you want to record your practice?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to put that off. You say I want to practice because this shot is such a common shot.
It's a yeah.
You say, yeah, I must aim more for overcutting.
Yeah, but look at, you don't want to start overcompensating also.
Yeah.
You also want to go to the pocket. But if anything, you know, it's
Feels nice when I drop.
I mean, what's also important in practicing, and I always say this, is this what you're doing now, is to practice these easier shots.
Yeah.
Never go down and start spotting long blues and all that.
Grant was picking me out last Wednesday because I was here practicing some of the things you.
Yeah.
Then I finished and he says, didn't you read the WhatsApp messages? I said, yeah, I did. So why are you practicing technical, difficult stuff and now you want to go play? Practice easy shots, then go play your competition. Okay, Grant, don't let me.
I don't disagree. Because it's always the easy ones you miss that cost you.
Yeah.
That's And the stroke was there. The stroke was there. It's repetition, that's all it is, it's repetition.
But I'm just thinking now, that one of the practices that, as I said, I put all the 21 balls here in a pot there. I should do that from this angle as well.
Yeah.
I shouldn't just be practicing this shot.
No.
Because I think one tends to almost, this cut is almost more than this cut.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you. Depending on which level of snooker you play.
Yeah.
Okay. So in essence, these blacks of the spot is much more common from this angle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because for black rolling, it's very
Yeah.
very seldom that you're gonna play 10 shots, 10 blacks off that angle.
Yeah.
One or two blacks. Normally it's just a little screw back from this angle
Yeah.
for the next day, you know, something like
Yeah.
that. But top players tend to avoid the rails as much
Yeah.
as what they can.
Yeah.
But that is still a good
With
practice.
with good reason to avoid the rails. Yeah. I see that once again. Old habits.
What is also important, I don't know what's the English word for it now. Calibrate. Is that
Calibrate.
Calibrate. Yeah. What's also important now, even for top players, is to sort of calibrate the stance and all kinds of stuff, you know, the technique.
Yeah.
You know, so because as good as what you are, somewhere you're losing something, and you
Yeah.
almost don't know how to fix it. Okay.
Yeah.
What I find a good habit is to get my stance fixed by just putting the white ball down here, just like that.
Yeah.
And basically just put my hand somewhere down here to go straight down the line.
Yeah.
And if I can use your cue. So basically I put my hand somewhere here, get my stance in the line of the spot.
Yeah.
And sort of just play up and down the line. Now the reason for this, why I'm doing this is, what they say is if you're hitting down the line and the cue comes back to your tip.
Yeah.
That's probably the, but the reason why I'm doing it is not actually the reason to get my stance.
Yeah.
It's purely just to go down. I mean, I'm shouldn't do this. I'm gonna use the red now. Shouldn't use this, but it's purely just to get my action down. You know what I'm saying? And it's sort of
So that indicates you've either put side on it or your cue is actually at an angle.
at an angle, but I didn't really bother me where
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened at the bottom.
Yeah.
Unless I'm now focused on.
Yeah.
It's really just to get my action in line. So what I'm doing, you'll see here by the D. It's got a line here.
Yeah.
So ideally the white's right there. That's normally about your hand distance to the white.
Okay.
And you see, and then you get your stance nice and in line. And what I even do sometimes is when I do coaching, especially for new players, I would put stickers there.
Oh, okay.
I literally put the sticker pointing that way and one pointing that way.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily going to use the sticker, but it's sort of a way of getting yourself, like I said, it's like a caliber.
Calibrate.
You know, so in your case, you don't need it.
Okay.
You know, but occasionally, if you feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
just come stand at the bullpen, put your hand somewhere there in that range, because it's a tolerance.
Yeah.
If I can, you know, the size, you know, your V, look at your V. It can be somewhere there. Can't be there. It's too close.
Okay.
Can't be there.
Too far.
That's too far. So this is your perfect guideline.
Okay.
White on the spot. And just aiming down the so for any reason, you're suddenly standing behind the blue spot straight, and you suddenly feel yourself, hey, but this doesn't feel right. Something is
Yeah.
off. Just come stand aside. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Stand aside, put your hand down.
Cool. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
I think I've got to get cracking as well. There's only 2 minutes left.
I've got another 5 if you want this now.
No. I
Sure.
Thank you.
Then I'll help you back up, man. Then you can go
Yeah, thank you. our daughter got kicked out of their flat in Robertson. Long story.
Oh, okay.
They've got a autistic. One of my grandsons is autistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I put someone's cue down somewhere. Oh, there. It's not my cue. I just.
So anyway, they got
an autistic. Your daughter's got an autistic.
Yeah, and they got, the Blind Dogs Society. People have trained their dogs for blind people. They also train dogs to help autistic children, which I never knew. They call them service dogs. Now, they fall in the same category as blind dogs. So if somebody's blind, they can take their dog into Checkers, into the shop.
Yeah.
So it's supposedly the same with these service dogs.
Yeah.
So they got it right. They inform the body corporate of the block of flats where they stay.
Yeah.
The body corporate says, no, we have rule no dogs allowed. So they said, but our son needs the dog. So they just put their foot down and said, nope,